The upsurge in the price of liquefied petroleum gas has led to an increase in demand for charcoal as an alternative for cooking. The continuous campaign against deforestation and the free distribution of gas cylinders reduced the preference for charcoal as a source of cooking fuel in households. Prince Appiah, however, reports people are returning to the use of charcoal and wood fuel.
Madam Gifty is about to cook. She is opting to use charcoal because she can't afford to fill her gas cylinder. According to her, a bag of charcoal is cheaper and lasts longer than the gas.
So the bidena like say gassy. You see how we feeling see how when you are 1.6, 1.7 what even feeling? Bidena so the meter double see one man use more than
the gas is too expensive. Now you have to pay 160 or 70 cedis, and it doesn't last.
Ukraine, you see the gas no boy a dia my cemento. You see
the rise and instability in the prices of LPG is a worry to consumers.
My gas is finished, so I have to use the charcoal.
The Forestry Commission says the surge in the demand for charcoal is a clear depletion of the vegetation cover. Augustine Kofi Jedu is the Ashanti Regional Manager.
Those who are illegally burning charcoal here and there, we want to caution them that it's not every tree that is supposed to be cut to burn charcoal. Yes, so they need to obtain permit from the nearest forest office before they do that. A lot of families, households have turned to charcoal production, and that one is also affecting the environment.
So in 2015, government distributed 50,000 free cylinders to rural communities in Ghana. It was part of government policy to increase access to LPG in these areas. But the rising cost of LPG in recent times is affecting the demand.
A bag of charcoal used to be 30 cedis, but it's now 40 cedis. So we also sell the bag at 45 cedis. Due to the price increase, we no longer sell it at 1 cedis.
According to the Forestry Commission, people are cutting down trees that are not meant for charcoal. To safeguard the forest, the Commission is distributing plants that can be used for commercial charcoal production.
So what Forestry Commission is doing now is to levy those trucks that carry charcoal. We have checkpoints at various locations, and we charge 80 pesos per mini bag of charcoal. So we count the number of bags in the truck, and then you pay something to the state. Apart from that, Forestry Commission mobilize those monies, and then they give it to us to create nurseries. So as we talk now here in the Ashanti region, we have such nurseries that we supply free seedlings to people to plant to protect the environment. So we want to urge charcoal producers to come together as a group or as groups in the various localities. Go to the nearest forestry office, we'll give you the seedlings free of charge to go and plant, so that when they mature, and they are very fast growing as well, when they mature, you can harvest them, and then they will copy, you go and harvest again. If you do it in a large scale, you can even export if you so wish.
It is a growing concern that the rising demand for charcoal for cooking in recent times will pose a great danger to our already stressed forest. My name is Prince Apia, reporting from Kumasi.
Now joining us on Zoom with more is President of the LPG Dealers Association, Gabriel Comey. Now, thank you very much for joining us. What is probably accounting for the rising cost of LPG?
Thank you for having me. I mean, basically, the Ukraine-Russia war is one of the factors, and obviously our city is also not doing well. So these are the two main factors that have contributed to the rising cost of LPG. But before this war, since last year, the cost of LPG has been going up. And we as an association even predicted in September last year that by the end of first quarter this year, we're going to buy LPG at above 10 cedis per kilo. And that the war also came in somewhere in February to aggravate the situation. So LPG started selling at above 10 cedis somewhere in January, February.
Now, people also know that, for example, Ghana Gas does process gas in this country from our own oil field. So they ask the question, why are we still blaming foreign factors for the rising cost?
Unfortunately, the gas we produce in Ghana is pegged to the international pricing regime. So this is a question that we need to pose to the policymakers, to the ministries and to the MPA as to why the gas we are producing in Ghana is still pegged as those at par with those imported. But basically, we as an association over the years have been making a certain call. In 2018, government set up an objective for LPG consumption in Ghana. Cabinet tasked the Ministry of Energy and MPA in 2018 to ensure that Ghana has improved its penetration of LPG from the then 25% penetration level to 50% by the year 2030. And ever since then, the price of LPG has been going up. And that is one of the main enemies fighting against that government objective. Since 2019, LPG consumption in Ghana has taken a nosedive. So we would urge government to revise that target. It's not possible to achieve that consumption target, that penetration target of 50% by the year 2030. It's simply impossible to achieve that. Because as it indicate, 2019, we did an average of 30,000 metric tons per month in 2019. It came down to about 29,000 metric tons in 2020. And this dropped further down to 28,000 metric tons on the average in 2021. And where the prices are, our projection for 2022 is that by the end of 2022, we are going to do an average of about 26,000 metric tons per month. So that clearly throws away government objective of achieving that penetration level by the year 2030.
And I guess that's as a result of the rising cost of the products, eh?
The cost of the product is about 95% of the reason why LPG consumption is on the decline. The product is simply not affordable. If you look at the current consumption domestically, you are looking at the middle income upwards. Those are the people that consume LPG domestically. If the masses of our people, and that bracket forms just about 25% of the target market for LPG. The masses of our people, that forms about 70% or more, are unfortunately not able to afford the product. They've been priced out of the product. If you look at the average ordinary Ghanaian who takes home about 700, 800, or even 1,000 Ghana cedis, now the cost of your average household cylinder is almost 200 Ghana cedis. So if you ask such a person to take about 20-25% of his monthly income to buy just LPG, I think that is too harsh for the ordinary Ghanaian to bear. So we are not able, LPG is also a product with an elastic demand. It's very, very, very highly price sensitive. If you want to improve the consumption of such a product, the only way out is to take measures to reduce prices so you can attract a lot more people to the consumption net. So government objective can be achieved. But we see the price as the major factor militating against this government objective. And there's no way, it's impossible. It's impossible to achieve that objective. As I did indicate, indeed, consumption is on the decline as we speak. So if nothing is done about the price of LPG and we keeping the price of LPG at about above 10 cedis per kilo, with all the taxes and all those things on it, I don't think government objective can ever be achieved. In fact, as at the time the target was set.
All right, Mr. Comey, I'll come back to you, but just before, if you can help us understand the mix of the imported and what we also process here, then we can move on to Mr. Edward Barr. Can you help me with that, the mix, with the importation and the one that we process here?
Yes, currently I think we are doing locally, we are doing about 55% locally and 45% imported.
Okay. All right. So also joining us is a member of the Energy Committee of Parliament, Edward Barr, for more. Honorable, good morning and thanks very much for your time for joining us here. Now, what is your committee doing about this situation that we find ourselves?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning to your viewers. Basically, I've consistently made this point that for Parliament basically does not have any direct role in terms of how prices are fixed, aside the fact that we advocate. Because recall that the factors that will affect that is the price of the product, it is the tax they put in, and then the margins that the marketing companies will put in and the dealers. And so these things do not fall under, as long as those taxes have been passed, it is now within the area of the executive to see how they can get these things done. But you see, I think that listening to Mr. Comey talk, you will realize that you get worried. You get worried because the intention for the introduction of LPG was, one, to save our environment, because people will have to use wood and charcoal to be able to cook. So it was to save our environment. The second point was also to ensure that we had in terms of health issues. You know that most of the people who really do this cooking, whether it is firewood or charcoal, basically our women and our sisters, our wives and what have you. They are exposed to the constant inhalation of these exhausts or things that come up. And so there's a health component to it. And last but not the least, it also to a very large extent eradicate poverty. Because when your cost of a bill or cost of health bill goes down, it gives you more disposable income to be able to use it for other alternatives. So the fact that in terms of our penetration, the volumes, the intake that we are taking, seem to suggest that people really are resorting to the use of charcoal and wood fuel as a source of heating for their domestic activities. But you see, back to, you asked a question, and then you asked Mr. Comey a question about why is it that we have gas in Ghana, and whilst we have gas in Ghana, we produce some part of our consumption, the local market, part of our consumption is produced locally. Mm-hmm. How come that government cannot do anything to ameliorate in terms of the increasing and the ever-increasing trend of the gas? And I'll tell you that and I think his answer was very clear, and I think I agree with him. It is a question of policy by government. Because see, as we speak now, we do know that Ghana gas is natural gas from the Jubilee field and some of the other fields. Per our own petroleum agreement arrangements, Ghana gas was supposed to, or Ghana generally was supposed to have what we call the foundation volumes. The foundation volumes simply meant that we were to be given to the first 200 BCF of gas that was supposed to come from the Jubilee is supposed to be free. And so what it then means is that those, and the foundation volumes, as far as I know, will be ending somewhere this year. So we are still enjoying the foundation volumes. Mm. So it means that, and meanwhile, LPG is a byproduct of the processing of the associated gas that is brought from the fields to Ghana gas. Mm-hmm. So it means that in terms of the cost of it from day one, it is free. I'm talking of the primary cost of the product. So government can ask itself and say, look, in as much as I want to be able to recover the cost of putting up the gas processing plant in this intervening period, is it possible to subsidize, or is it possible to ask Ghana Gas to peg their LPG prices a bit lower? Because for those that are imported from outside, unfortunately, you cannot do much about it because, one, you know that because of the COVID issues, over the period, now most economies are rebounding. Most economies are picking up. And because they are picking up, the consumption of LPG is also going up. So the demand for LPG is also going up. So that is one area that can cause it. Two, it is true, we had already predicted that if you look by May, we indicated that petroleum products towards the West Coast was going to be a problem because of the Russian war. Because now most of these products are now being diverted to the European market. And so the demand for the demand for it is becoming higher. And so it becomes a bit more expensive. Last but not the least is the fact that our dollar is equally not doing very well. Our cedi is not doing well against the dollar. And because these products are bought in in dollars, what it then means is that anytime the cedi depreciates against the dollar, it means that you need to charge more to be able to have the equivalence of the dollar to be able to purchase your next consignment. So I think the government must have a deliberate decision to ask yourself, as a government, am I interested in ensuring that I save the environment?
So Mr. Ba, isn't your committee contemplating probably making a move to draw executives' attention to the fact that, look, there's something you can do to help bring about relief for the consumers in Ghana?
Well, that obviously part of the reason why I accepted to do this interview is because I am advocating for it. That's why I indicated the issue of advocacy. That the Ministry of Energy is aware of it. Those things are constantly being told the Ministry of Energy as to how they could look at some of these alternatives to ensure that the broader objective of government in terms of making sure that a lot of Ghanaians use LPG as the preferred fuel as compared to wood fuel. We try to make all these suggestions to government, but that it is only at the level of advice, because the power to do those things, policies are emanated from government, are made from the executive.
Okay.
Parliament is only there for legislation.
Okay.
And so we can only advocate. And that is exactly what we are. And again, the last point I'm trying to make is, the reason why people are also seeing the sharp increase, that there was a drastic increase. You recall that for about 3 months, because government had taken off the price stabilization and recovery levy from the petroleum products, the 16 pesos per liter for petrol, 16 pesos for diesel, and then 14 pesos per kilogram of LPG. People did not realize, but suddenly when that particular levy was reinstalled, what it meant that it pushed LPG prices also up. So that is also yet another thing that also has sent the LPG prices higher than we had before the reintroduction of this price stabilization.
Mr. Ba, I'm very grateful to you for your time. Mr. Comey, before I let you go, what is your expectation of what should happen in the coming days?
We have been very, very consistent and persistent on our call for government to consider removing the taxes on LPG, because we believe LPG must be made tax-free. We believe that the benefit we will gain as a country by pushing up consumption of LPG to that 50% will far more outweigh the benefit we are gaining from these taxes.
Okay.
If you go to our West African neighbors, Cote d'Ivoire is subsidizing the LPG by about 25-30%. They are paying subsidies. Is Cote d'Ivoire's economy better than Ghana? Are we doing worse than Cote d'Ivoire that they could subsidize LPG, but we did not even leave it at full cost, but we've gone ahead to impose taxes on the product? The government objective can never be achieved so long as these taxes, LPG is a very sensitive product to price.
Okay.
Any percentage reduction or increase in the price of the product goes a long way to affect its consumption. Look, government is spending so much money, so millions of cedis in tree planting. Recently, the Ministry of Forestry Commission and the Ministry of which is that ministry?
Natural Resources, you mean?
Yes, they spend so much of taxpayers' money planting trees.
Sure.
Very loud and quiet here. But we believe that cannot stand alone. If you do not supplement and complement that by ensuring that the alternative to wood fuel and charcoal is made available and affordable to the ordinary consumer, I can assure you all those trees that we are spending millions of Ghana cedis to plant will never live to serve their purpose. They will be cut down for wood fuel and for charcoal. People must eat. This is an issue of survival.
All right, Mr. Comey.
Food is so basic that people will stop at nothing. They will cut the trees that you think you are enacting laws to protect. When it comes to survival,
I'm grateful to you, but thank you for joining us here on our news. That was Gabriel Comey. He is president of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana.